why do we have to play ball, or why do we have to play cards with them when we know that the damn deck is stacked? And we all know the deck is stacked. I mean, you know, they have all the cards picked out. You know, they're the dealer. They kind of set you up or set us up to believe everything is going to be fair and just and honest when it's not. So
well, that's because for the first 100 years of this country, it was reversed. They knew they had no chance in court. They knew that they would get a guy like me who would say, "Wait a second, you're our creation. I don't answer to my creation. I'm the creator." It's just like what I say to people when you say about God. Now, you could pray to God all you want, but if God doesn't do what you want him to do, what are you going to do? Sue him?
Right.
They're flipping it around. They're flipping around. It's just the same thing like I say to people. If you know history, like you know the Chinese emperors always had to have their feet bound in these little tiny cloths so they couldn't really walk out of the palace. And they had these really huge fingernails because all the people who raised them up since they were little kids said, well, gods have little tiny feet and gods have really long fingernails. So what they were doing is they were basically crippling the king. So the king couldn't sign anything. The king couldn't walk anywhere, and they told him you couldn't leave the palace because this is like heaven, and you know you can't leave the palace. So they basically were they were running the show when they had no power. And all those clowns, if you actually read them, they were all eunuchs. So basically, they had nothing worth living for, I guess, in their minds. It's like, what the hell? Let's screw with the king then. You know, since we can't screw women, let's screw with the king. So, so technically, they're in power. So that's basically what's going on here. We have civil servants who are believing they have the power.
Right.
And they're basically saying, look, they know they don't have the power. They know that the people have the power. And the same thing with the legal society. They know that they can't testify in open court under oath of affirmation. They know they can't even notice the court. They know they can't even present any evidence or facts before the court. They know they have no standing in court.
Right.
They know it.
Right.
So how are they going to flip it around and start getting a little bit of power? They were going to bring you in. Not only the man, but they were going to bring you, Bob, the legal fiction in.
Right. Right.
That's how they're going to get you. Because you didn't know how to just do like a Jed Clampett or like a simple you just didn't know how to talk simple. It's like, well, I don't know about this old birth certificate, but I do know I'm a man, and I know I didn't cause no man no harm. So I don't understand why I'm here then. And it's like, well, because the statutory code 13 is that saying that I caused some man a harm? No. Then I still don't know why I'm here. Right. Oh, let me explain. They'll say, let me explain it again to you. When you were walking across the street, you did a X31, X2, 3724. That's direct violation of the California Code. Well, I'm very sorry that I hurt Mr. Code, but if he's here, and I'll shake his hand and I'll ask him if he's okay. If I violated him, I don't remember taking anything out of my pants and violating anybody.
Right.
You know, it's like I don't remember. You know, but if he says I did.
How do you respond if someone says, "Well, Karl, the court does not recognize the living man, does not recognize man, and you know the court only recognizes corporations or the corporations that they have created through man, so I can't hear you," or the judge might pretend I can't hear you when you come in and say, "Look, I'm a man. So is the enforcement the part where when like you got to be patient because I'm really going back in the archives and digging because I really find it fascinating. Like a caller, I don't know whether it was an older call or a newer call because I'm like listening to the beginning and then going back to the recent ones, but I know that he can't hear you, but it's the enforcement that you go after that man who may, that capacity of that man, he may be a judge, he may be a public official, that may be one of the activities that he performs, but I, as one man, will go after that other man who is parading around as this public official. Is that the action, to go after him, to go after that man or that woman who has violated me as a man?
No, because the judge is not the one who's going after you. It's the person standing right. It's the prosecutor. The judge isn't doing anything. The guy in the black robe, he's just a referee. It's like you're playing basketball and you're bitching that the guy just scored 2 points on you. You're bitching at the referee. What are you bitching about? I'm not the one. Defend yourself against that guy standing to the right.
But
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but are we? Because I know that in the real world they're supposed to be objective, and they're supposed to be a referee.
They are. You just got to make sure. You just got to make them aware that you don't grant them any authority over you. So you just got to. You have to do it in writing. You never say it in court, because if you say it in court, obviously you're speaking the same language he understands. You got to put it in writing and say, where do you believe you derive the authority over I, a man? And the judge will say, the guy in the black robe will say, I have no authority over you as a man. That's right. So where does the prosecutor derive his authority over I, the man? And the prosecutor say, I have no jurisdiction or authority over you as a man either. It's like, okay, then is there anything else I could help you with today? Because I just stand here as a man. Is there anything else I could help you with today before I go home? And that's it.
I'm here. You're here today. We want to know who Joe Blow was, who John Joe was, that ran that red light on such and such a Miller Street, and he's been charged with violating this code.
What you could just say to them, if you wanted to say something funny, you say, do you believe I, a man, is a requirement of I, a man, to go from point A to point B to have a license for a man? You believe a man is required to have a license to go from point A to point B?
Well, they're not going to even. They're going to try to walk right out of that one. They're not. Well,
of course they're going to say, well, they're going to say yes or no. Do you believe that it's required of I, a man, to go from point A to point B, that I have to be licensed, permitted, and insured to go from point A to point B? See, but I did this all in writing way before I went in. Yeah.
Because, they will try to squirm and weasel out of any issues that either man presents, because they don't want to hear from either man. They want to hear from that person that they have created through either man.
Even when you are in court as a man, if you're answering to the person that's done wrong, you're basically acting like the daddy for your son who did wrong driving a car. You're acting in
capacity
of the person which you have liability for.
Okay.
So all I'm trying to say is you do like I said, this man in Indiana with these folks and with the IRS, or these people with the EPA in Indiana. I'm doing everything pre-hearings, pre-trials, pre-everything. Everything is in writing. Everything. We're going to get this down to when we walk into the courtroom, there's only going to be one question only. Boom. And that's it. Answer this question. I got nothing else to say but answer that one question. Everything else we already settled. Where do you get the authority?